Good evening. As I said, today was going to be a rainy day, so nothing got done. The Jackery units did not charge up. In fact, they continued to drain. So there was zero on a rainy day. The solar panels, though I have 4 panels up, didn't charge or give the voltage that is the minimum, which is 135. And so therefore it didn't sense it today, so that I can't test those panels out yet. Waiting for a better day. Also, I realized that the US solar panels that I'm using, which are bifacial 400 watt coming out to total of 4,000 watts, can operate between 31 and 37 volts. Remember, the minimum is 135 on the Jackery unit before it's triggered. At 135 and having only 4 panels in place, that means what we need is at least basically 34 volts out of each one. But I found out that the solar panels can operate between 31 and 37. And at Jackery said, yeah, you just need to put 4 panels up, assuming that the 37 would be reached. If it's at 31, 32, or 33, however, which is still in the range, that's not going to trigger it. Therefore, I am better off putting up a 5th panel to make it trigger, but that's for another day. In the meantime, 2 things I want to address. Number one is that I kind of mentioned the other day, a few days ago, about, hey, if you want to donate, I'm willing to accept a donation. Why would I say that? Because though I am employed, in fact, I'm employed 1.5 times. That means I have a full-time job and a part-time job. And actually, it's 1.25. It's only 10 extra hours. Anyways, I'm on a contract basis, and the contract runs out in July, and it's becoming a little sketchy if it's going to be renewed. And so funds are starting to get tight right in the middle of this little project of, well, basically being a guinea pig, a test. So far, the test has resulted in that if you're just going to use the 500X panels, you get 2 sets of those, plus the Jackery 5000 Plus, and even 1 battery backup. It's insufficient to keep minimum content of the house functioning for an extended period of time. So in summary, it's at 100% charge. I was able to run a fish aquarium and a computer in my office for a period of 3 days without with minimal recharging, meaning that there was some cloudy days and mixture of sun, and it basically drained in that period of time. And if it only can run that amount of equipment, what about the rest of the house? It was supposed to be a whole house solution, and well, it needs what it comes down to is not more battery packs, but rather it's more input, and that's why the investment of the panels from US Solar. Again, I said I thought a good deal on those, and they're slowly being installed because I'm building a frame out, and I only have an hour in the evening to continue on this project, and my Sunday days are usually rained out where I could devote like 8 hours in between set up the equipment and then tear it down because it could rain on the equipment. That equipment doesn't appreciate wetness. I like protecting my drill and saw, table saw that is, and so set up, tear down, that takes quite a bit of that hour to an hour and a half chunk. And with rainy Sundays, this thing is just dragging out far too long. My apologies. So, so that's why I said, hey, I'm open to donation because I'd like to be able to fully test this thing out, but it's going to be delayed. Anyways, that off to the side. Evidently, I'm not so serious about it because I didn't give you where you could mail a check or anything like that. So it be. Anyways, second thing I wanted to focus on is this notion that solar companies like to push government rebates and tax deductions and all kinds of things at you to make it look like, hey, you get everything for free. And that is not the case. I looked into what the state of Pennsylvania would offer as far as assistance and programs and all kinds of things. There's an income limit, meaning that you can't make over a certain amount, and I just happen to be over that amount, so that doesn't help. I have to be in a certain environment, and I'm not sure if I qualified for that either. Needless to say, I have no assistance from Pennsylvania. I looked into the federal government, and again, it's low income assistance basically. And so I don't see a government program. If you are aware of such a thing that is available to throw money this way, I'd appreciate it. But like I said, I didn't see that. Now, as far as credit on your tax returns, that on the other hand is possible. However, that too has an income qualification. You are allowed to take whatever amount of money you owe on taxes and deduct the amount of money up to, well, basically it's 30% of a credit. So you calculate how much you owe in taxes, and then how much did you spend on solar panels? 30% of that is going to be applied to that. Now, I mentioned line 24. That comes on the long form. So if you do a short form or you have somebody do your taxes, you have no clue what I'm talking about. So to figure out if you actually qualify, I used a little tool on the internet called NerdWallet at basically .com. And I went to a particular tool that is found on their site, so nerdwallet.com. I'll try and put the link in the description. So it's nerdwallet.com/taxes/calculators/tax-calculator. And on this site, you can identify what year you're going to file. Let's just say it's 2025, even though I'm not going to get a break until next year. And your filing status. If you identified, let's just say that you are married and filing jointly, this takes into consideration your annual gross income. And if you plug in $32,000, which is, I think, the poverty line, and you take what's known as the standard deduction, that means you don't get taxed on the first $31,500. And if you figure that out, that means there's only $500 that can be taxed. The amount of money, if you have an annual income of $32,000, happens to be a mere $50 you owe in taxes. Now, if you spend, like I did, $11,000 on the solar panels, that comes out, and you're allowed to carry the credit forward until the year 2032, I believe it is, at $50 a pop. And keeping in mind, that's going to go down over time. At some point it goes from 30% down to 26, and I think down to 22, but neither here nor there. If you get the full credit, let's say next year is the 30% 30% at $50 a pop, and you only can claim it to 2032, you're never going to be able to recover from that. Basically, the $11,000, and again, you can only get 30% of that back. So even $3,000, you're not even going to get all the $3,000 back. That's if you make $32,000. Now let's up it to say that you made $50,000 a year. Now we're starting to talk. According to the calculation at NerdWallet, a $50,000 annual income will generate what's known as the amount of taxes you owe is $1,850. That means I can make that, get that as a credit and carry forward, because like I said, on the 11,000, I would be able to claim a little over $3,000 of credit. Well, $3,000 of credit is more than $1,850, and so it would take 2 years to claim on my taxes that I have this credit. So that would actually work out a little bit. Let's up it though. Let's say that you made $75,000 a year. Now this is telling me that I would owe the federal government $4,742.98. Let's not forget the change there. Actually, it would be rounded up to $4,743 because they like to play with whole dollars and not pennies. In either case, if I can claim $3,000, I could claim that all in 1 year. So anything above $75,000 on my investment for an annual income, I can actually claim it and not owe so much on taxes. And let's just try one more number here, and that would be $100,000. I'm just picking these numbers randomly because this is basically what some people make, or a good portion of people make. Those that make only $32,000 a year probably aren't going to be interested in solar panels anyways. Those making $50,000 are probably still living from paycheck to paycheck and probably in debt, because the just trying to live is quite expensive. And those making 75 is more probably in a reasonable area. And finally, the 100,000, if you were to have a 2-income family maybe, or somebody in the family does make 100,000, congratulations. You would owe a total tax of $7,743. Now, if I spend $11,000 on solar equipment, I would only be able to claim, like I said, 30% of that, which is a little over $3,000. So again, I would be able to claim all of that and not owe, as it says, Uncle Sam, that much in taxes. And oh, by the way, if you overpaid your taxes already, that credit is subtracted first, and then you get even more of a refund back. So it does not, a refund does not get affected or lower your credit, that is, you get the full credit. So that's the only savings you have, but again, you are looking at needing to make a significant income into the family to save on your taxes. So overall, what I'm trying to tell you is that if anybody's trying to tell you that there's a government program in which, and you can, and in addition to that, claim this on your taxes and come out with a net zero that it actually pays for itself, they're lying to you. Unless you actually fall into all the categories that are restrictive, that you are inside the income, live in the right place, and and actually make a decent income, which then probably contradicts the government program because it's made for a lower income family. That's what the results happen to be. They're a little conflicting, if you would. So don't let anybody twist your arm thinking that you're going to really make out like a bandit and the solar panels are, or solar equipment is free. It's not. So just a heads up. That's it for now. Hope you are able to learn something from this, glean something from it, and be better off, especially as we move forward in trying to sort of live off the grid, but at the very least be ready for any storm that may knock out the power and try to survive, if not for just a few days. And that's it. Talk to you later.